for allowing me to share this today. He wasn't supposed to be here, but I guess now I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit because he's here. And I don't have the sweet Britney Spears headset, so if you can't hear me, let me know. And I don't have the same Clapper's smooth jazz DJ kind of voice, but we'll hopefully get through it. We're going to talk about something that I call community-based marketing, and essentially, the textbook definition is bringing people together around a shared practice, purpose, place, product, or set of circumstances to create insights and closer, more valuable relationships with prospects, customers, and other stakeholders to deliver organizational value. Now, that's a really long way of saying doing nice things in the community, can bring business to you. We talk about on this call quite often, we talk about how your sphere of influence is basically can be three categories: people that know you, people that trust you, and people that love you. This type of marketing grows all three of those categories, right? Because more people will know you, more people will trust you, and ideally more people will love you. So the group-based community-based marketing, which is what I'm going to talk about mostly. We may talk a little bit near the end about a little bit the individual community-based marketing, which can be a little bit of a seedy underworld, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. It works differently because instead of forcing your message, forcing it onto your clients, you're drawing your clients in to your sphere, and it's based upon a mutual interest in real friendship. So if I put it more simply, instead of spending dollars on marketing, what we want to do is we want to share our time, our talent with the community, and it's going to give you a great opportunity to bring people into your sphere at little to no actual marketing dollar cost. So for me, the people that know me on the call know that. I mean, I've coached high school baseball for 20 years. I have coached my daughter's teams. In my neighborhood here, I run a fantasy football league with 11 other property owners in my neighborhood. And we travel every week every week somebody else hosts, and we have a little party every Monday night. I run food and wine pairing events at my house for people in my sphere, and we invite new people every time. I have barbecues at my house all the time. These are things that grow your sphere. And I mean, I realize everybody doesn't have a big house, but there are things that everybody on the call can do in the community. I've talked about it with Aaron in the past. He's organized a beach cleanup, or, as other, just other ideas. I mean, there's a guy in my neighborhood. He's not my favorite agent at all, because he's the kind of guy that when I have an open house here in the neighborhood, he hangs around walking his dog back and forth across the driveway to talk to the people leaving my open house. And that's obviously, but let's face it, guys do what they do. But he, as an example, and he's gotten great response from it every year. On Easter Sunday, he and his two daughters that are like, maybe 10 and 12, they fill up 5,000 little Easter eggs with a piece of candy, and they throw them out at Franklin Park here in Redondo Beach, and hundreds of people show up with their kids. And he's got his signs up all over the place. And I've asked him, like, he doesn't get a permit even from the city because it's Easter Sunday and the cops aren't working anyway, really. So he just runs this Easter egg hunt, and he gets business from it, real business. And he increases. I mean, he kind of became the Franklin Park person based upon that ridiculous Easter egg hunt. And it's not that tough, and it doesn't cost him, I mean, the eggs cost him whatever, but you can go on Oriental Training and buy 5,000 of those Easter eggs for $100 probably. And he gets business, a lot of business out of something that seems like just a one-off. But I talk to him all the time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got another listing over on Fisk." Really? Yeah, from the Easter egg hunt. So I'm just trying to get you guys, and I realize, like, Sean, you got door knock, and Mark, you bang out the phone calls, and all that is great. But I mean, you could spend how many hours a week making phone calls and get zero. And I'm telling you, if Sean, you're a workout guy, right? You put together a workout group at your gym. We'll hold each other accountable. I'll lead it. We'll all, you get 10, 12 people in that. Now you've got 10 or 12 people that know you as the realtor that leads the group at the gym, and you become kind of a little bit of a leader of this little community of people, and that's something you already are going to do. It's something that you already know about, and it turns into something. There's another agent that I know that she teaches a yoga class at it's down in Hermosa at that K Etzau Park. It's a tiny little parkette in Hermosa, and she gets 6 people show up or whatever and take her free yoga class. And the next thing you know, there's 15 people that are taking her free yoga class, and she's the realtor that does that for free for people. Well, the secret here is she'd be doing yoga anyway, right? So she's just taking a couple extra minutes to say, hey, let's get everyone together. And social media obviously is a great tool for that, right? You send it out to your people. Let's get everybody involved. You could volunteer at a hospital. There's all kinds of things and I can't remember his name. There's a guy that works, and I'm not sure if he's on Klapper's team. I think he might be on Ed's team, but I walk in one morning, and I immediately recognized him. But my wife and I went out for Mother's Day dinner at Radici down in Hermosa, and he was our waiter. And he rolled up on me, and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm just doing that until I get my real estate business off the ground." And he was almost acting like he was embarrassed about it. And I said, "Hey, listen, dude, you can use that as a marketing opportunity. I mean, if people can afford to eat at Radici, perhaps they can afford to buy a house, right?" So I was like, if you can drive those conversations organically toward the fact that you're a young guy trying to start out in the real estate business. Nobody in this business started out on fire. Believe me. Kasky didn't, Kaminsky didn't. I mean, everybody's first couple of years are slow, and you got no marketing money. But what you have is time and talent that you can share with the community, right? Yeah, like I said, you can volunteer at a hospital. I'll open up the mics. Other ideas of things you've seen, or ideas that you might have for yourself.
I've always participated at the kids' school over the years. The cool thing about being in real estate is we have flexible schedules. So I would go on, I would do it anyway. I wanted to participate with the kids as they were growing up. So to go on all the class trips and just volunteer whenever I could. So would my wife. And it's something we just enjoyed doing. So it was very easy, but I've gotten a bunch of business from the school, from teachers, from other parents, and it occurred very organically.
Right.
And I think
And you can
actually,
steer the conversations. Go
I'll
ahead.
say one more thing, which is important, is that when you volunteer, I'm not selling myself as a real estate salesperson. I'm just there to serve. I'm there to help. And people know you as a human being first, sometimes before they know what you do. And that's important. They know who you are and and how you operate as a human being. And that gives them trust in whatever. I could sell shoes or run a restaurant or sell houses, and people will work with me because they know who I am as a human being. And there's a level of trust because of that. So I think that's also what's important. If you're getting involved in some of this community-based marketing, as you're calling it, Dave,
Yeah.
do it with a helper's heart, so to speak.
Right. And obviously, on day one, Sean, of your workout group, you don't say, "Hey, welcome to my workout group. I'm a realtor who wants to buy a house." Right. You kind of ease into it. And, I talk about a lot of, my 20 years of high school baseball coaching that I started in 1998. 8. You know, as a former college player, I mean, high school baseball coaches, just so you guys understand, if you're an assistant coach at a high school, they'll pay you about $1,500 a season total. Won't even cover your gas. I had an opportunity in 1998 to help out coaching the baseball team at Malibu High School in Malibu, way out there. And I don't know, maybe 3 months in, parents started asking, well, how do you have time to come out here every day? Well, I'm a mortgage broker, and I sell real estate, and the job doesn't, I don't get a weekly paycheck, but I also don't have to punch a clock, so I'm allowed to do this. And the parents start talking, and the next thing you know, I got a deal in the pipeline. The next thing you know, I got another parent that's, oh yeah, we're going to sell a condo, and that we have on Zuma Beach, or whatever, and now I got a listing. And but Aaron's point, it happened organically early on. And then when I left Malibu High School, because when my daughter was born, it just got to be too far to drive. I had options to coach other places. Now, I could have coached at Lawndale High School. I could have coached at Lusinger High School, but Miracosta had an opening. I chose Miracosta. Why? Obviously, it's a better real estate market, right? So that those of you in the South Bay group, I mean, or Phil, I think you're in the Valley. I mean, obviously, you want to set yourself up to sell real estate at the highest possible level. So, and that's not a bad, I guess, tactic. Is to use the I guess your time and talent as wisely as you can to bring in potentially the highest level possible home buyers and sellers. Does that make sense? So, and like I said, it could be anything. Anybody else? Yeah, Phil, go ahead.
So what I've noticed, how I picked up business is you have to go to every single event you get invited to, whether it's kids' birthday parties, whether it's Scotch clubs. We used to, get like a $200 bottle and split it with 6, 7 people, and everybody wants to talk about real estate. It's a very hot topic. Whether it's other events that you meet at birthday parties and you start talking to people, from all walks of life. So for me personally, like poker nights, for example, from our school, right, is just events, going and meeting people. And I've never not been to one event when somebody did not mention real estate. It is just a topic of conversation.
Right.
I'll add to that, actually, Phil. You just reminded me of something. You just said, I'll go to everything I'm invited to. And the truth is, you just got to say yes to things. I used to say no to everything.
Yep.
And it's because I think it's because my kids were younger, and just I just drew the line. I work hard during the day. I'm going home at night. I'm going to be with my wife. I'm going to be with my children. And it was just like I had a very now my kids are sophomores in high school. They're out with their friends. They're doing their thing. And I started saying yes to things. And so funny, Bill, you're right. Every time I say yes to something, first of all, I'm enjoying myself because I'm participating with people, and whether it's some party or some charitable event or some get together or whatever, I always say yes. And it always comes back to real estate, even when I don't want it to. People start talking to you about real estate. They know you're in real estate. They want to talk about real estate. It is like the hottest topic. So I've actually made a very clear kind of distinction in my mind that I'm going to start to say yes to everything that I possibly can. Not for the reason of just getting business, just for the reason of participating more. I really believe we're here on this earth to participate with other people. I feel like we're pack animals. We're not lone, we're not going in a lonely fashion through life. We're here. We have friends. We have family. We don't have to have 1,000 friends. I mean, I think each one of us, if we really think about it, we probably count on one hand or less, how many really good friends we have. Maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3. It's not 15. So it's not like, um, I don't know. I've been really enjoying since I started saying yes. I've been getting a lot from it, just in more ways than just business.
Right. And Clapper has talked about this in the past, um, with regard to being in your community. Be a connector, be a leader, bring people together, and people will remember that, and they'll see you as a leader. And whether they know you're worth as a realtor or not, right? They're going to remember that you're a capable, intelligent person that connects people. And again, that's going to do nothing but grow your sphere, right? Which is, I mean, it's right now, especially when, I mean, none of us are that busy. We shouldn't be saying no to anything. I raise your hand if you're putting in 40 hours every single week with real estate related activity every single week. Right. Right. Well, Clapper, you know, your name's on the door, and you got to be in and out of the office. But the reality is, most of us don't. I mean, I'm probably somewhere between 30 and 33 every week, but I go pick up my daughter at 3 o'clock from school, and half the time, if I don't have any more calls to make, I'm done for the day. If somebody calls me, whatever, I'll take the call. But none of us are punching the clock, so none of us should be saying no to an opportunity to join a Scotch club, or sit in maybe a booth at a street fair, and just meet new people. Because if you're not meeting new people, you're not growing your sphere, and that's just reality. So, and I'll take a few minutes, because that's what I call the group community based marketing, which is important, probably more important than what we're going to talk about. But there's kind of the individual community based marketing is a little. I'm going to get a little dark here, I guess. Who could tell me, like, well, Clapper, you'll tell me, what are some life events that cause people to maybe need a real estate investor, or a real estate professional, or need to buy or sell or finance their properties? What are some life events that can cause that?
Are we looking on the dark side first, or are we talking about all life events?
All life events first.
Well, getting married, getting divorced, having a baby, or maybe somebody passing away, job transfer in or out of the area, maybe a promotion where they have more money they can spend, or they lose a job and they have to downsize.
This
Um,
is this is why Clapper is where he is. The list here I have is birth, death, marriage, divorce, catastrophic job loss, job transfer, kids leaving for college, retirement. These are the things that cause people to call you and need your service as a real estate professional. How do you find out that the people in your sphere have these things going on? Right? How do you get out in front of it? Yeah, Phil.
Well, you better get to know attorneys and business managers,
That's
CPAs.
real.
That's who you have to go after. Specifically, divorce attorneys, bankruptcy, all sorts of, basically if there's like a life event, and business managers. But that's hard. Obviously,
Right.
it's hard to get in there, but that's what you have to do.
well, can
Right.
I share an easier way, actually? Because you're right, it's hard to get. Not everybody knows attorneys, and like, how do you get in? But I if you're participating in some of these, if you're saying yes to things, right? Like Phil said, he says yes to things. When you're participating with people, that's what people talk about is life events. Oh, did you hear so and so just lost his parent? Or did you hear that so and so is moving to Austin, Texas? They just got a job. Or did you hear that so and so is having twins? Or did you hear that, whatever it is, this happens all over the place when you're out participating and you get cued into that. And there's nothing wrong with, in my opinion, taking that information and doing something about it. Even if somebody lost a parent, I don't think there's anything wrong with contacting that person and saying, I heard the terribly sad news and I just wanted to call and offer my condolences. I'm so very sorry. And I want you to know that I am in real estate And if there's any support that you need, I'm here. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. I really want to help you and your family in any way that you might need it. So just, it's an open door and I'm here if you need me. And what do people say to that? How could you? No, they say, thank you so much. You're so sweet. You're so kind. I really appreciate that.
And again, that's I say, it's you know you're not you have to understand when you make that phone call, someone's getting that listing. It might as well be you. It might as well be somebody that person either knows, trusts, or loves. And if somebody that loves you, you're going to get that listing, right? But you have to get out front of it, and that's, again, we talk about be a connector and connecting with the connectors. I have, an egg hunt in my neighborhood here. What I do, I have the neighborhood. We'll call her Karen, and she's the neighborhood gossip. Okay, it's greasy as hell. I admit it, but I go see her. I see her out gardening in her front yard. She knows what's going on everywhere in the neighborhood. Now, I don't participate in the gossip. I don't pass it on because, frankly, if somebody's, and she'll, Dave, did you hear about Karen or did you hear about Tim and Donna? She found a bunch of nudes on his phone and threw them out, and he's not.
Oh, David's frozen.
I'm lobbing a phone call to Tim and say, hey, I heard through the grapevine you got some heavy stuff going on. Let's talk, and so what do you think you're going to do? I make that example, but it could also be, oh, did you hear about Tim and Donna's twins? They just got into, Ivy League schools. How are they going to afford that? Or, did you hear about Tim and Donna? They're having twins. They already had 3 kids. How do they have time? Why is he climbing all over her? That's, and, that they're having twins and they already have 3 kids. They're probably going to need a bigger house. Right. So these are people that are, and like I said, is it a little greasy? Sure. But somebody's getting that listing. Somebody's going to help them find that house. And you don't have to be super aggressive about it. Like Klapper said, you call them up, you offer your support. Even if I don't agree that, with the guy whose wife threw him out, if he was whatever he was up to, that's none of my business. I'm here to facilitate a mortgage transaction, or I'm here to facilitate a real estate transaction. Right? Don't overlook. I mean, you think Klapper or Kaminsky or Kasky don't have ears on the ground everywhere for that kind of stuff? They do. They're not going to tell you about it. I'd be the one that tells you that, right? You don't get to be a top producer without knowing who's getting divorced, right? Without knowing who's got fired from their job. Deals come from that stuff. It's just real talk. You have to be able to run that stuff down, or you're going to miss opportunities, right?
I would add also that it's important to be someone that people feel like they can talk to, right? The way that we conduct ourselves when we're out and about in these environments in the community, if we're conducting ourselves in such a way that's a gossip, people aren't going to feel comfortable coming to you. If you conduct yourself in such a way that you treat people with respect, then people come to me with private information that they don't want to share, but they know I can be trusted, and they need some help with real estate. And so, it's almost like people are always paying attention and they're always listening, even when you don't think they are. And so I think it's really important to conduct ourselves publicly in a certain manner as well.
No, I always say it's a one-way street. I listen to it. I never pass it on, because by passing it on, I'm potentially giving that information to another agent. Right? So you're better served to be the person that knows that a divorce is coming, or the person that knows that's a terminal illness. I mean, it could be anything, but it's important I think to pay attention to what's going on in your sphere and to try and get ahead of that stuff as much as possible. And I'm sure, those of us that have been in the business, we've all gotten business that way. You never feel great about it, but at the end of the day, and I can't stress this enough, somebody's taking that listing. You know what I mean? Somebody's going to find a place for, a new, bigger home for that family. It might as well be you, right? Does anybody else have any, a story they could share or something like that that's happened where, maybe you found a deal somewhere where you didn't expect to, or something like that happened? Yeah, Phil, go ahead.
So when I do talk to people, whether I'm walking my dog or at these events, I always try to highlight how I can add value. Oh, so-and-so built an ADU and I help them with, project, let's say what the return on investment is going to be. Or so-and-so well, you have a Mediterranean home versus mid-century modern home and your resale value. Or, I've built several homes myself, for example, rebuild them, right? And the whole process. So that's why I try to focus. How can I add value through my past experiences? But I'm very investment oriented, right? I'm not the one let's just go, buy a white picket fence. I'm always thinking what's your return on investment? How can you make money? When you're going to resell it and how, you're going to make millions off of it. So that's how I tend to be. But I think people find it very interesting what's happening with investments, SB9, the new one that's 1033 that came out, and the ADU. So that's at least in my experience.
Right. And and I guess that's another, kind of really important, aspect. Be a resource. I just yesterday I got a call from a local, highly respected real estate agent that asked me some questions about reverse mortgages, because he didn't know a whole lot about reverse mortgages, and he had a client that was in a home that was thinking about listing, but the client's in a reverse mortgage, and he's got questions because he doesn't know a whole lot about it. I'd share that information. I'd become a resource for that agent. And, that agent may not have anything for me right now. He might not have anything for me next week. Maybe February, that agent has a client that walks in the door and says, I need to get pre-qualified. Right? He's going to remember that I was the one that took the time to spend on the phone with him to talk about a neighborhood that he didn't really have a lot of experience with, that I did. Took the time on the phone to him to explain how reverse mortgages works, and give him more information that he can then go back and look a little bit more intelligent to that person that's thinking of listing. If you want to be a resource, and that doesn't really matter whether you want it on the real estate side, on the mortgage side. If you're selling cars, it doesn't matter. If you're a salesperson, you absolutely need to be a resource to the people in your sphere, and you want to be the expert that they come to. Does that make sense? So, anybody got anything else? Any ideas on group based stuff? I don't want to talk about the greasy underbelly of the world of gossip, but it is important to participate in the gossip one way, where you hear it and you use it to your advantage. But any other ideas on the group based stuff? Anybody?
I don't know if this is group based, but I did hear this from a pretty successful agent on a Friday mastermind I went to, and they would just sit in a coffee shop or whatever it may be, where the locals will usually go to, right? So these are, places where you'd have reoccurring customers that live in the area that often go to these places, and he would just sit in the corner. He would give the bartista his credit card, and of course, he'd be there for a certain amount of time, and he'd just say, hey, look, anyone that comes by and grabs a coffee, just pay for it for them, and just tell them, hey, this gentleman in the corner wanted to pay for your order. He's over there, this and that. And most of the time, if not 100% of the time, 90% of the time, they'll actually go and talk to that person. Like, hey, thank you for the coffee. I appreciate that. And then you can be like, hey, no worries. Just want to start your day off right. Where are you going right now? Oh, I'm going off to work. Oh, what do you do for work? right? And then you'll get that reciprocation right back. Oh, I'm just going to this place. How about you? What do you do for work? Well, actually, I'm here. I'm just working for my clients right now, just looking at listings. I'm helping people in real estate. And that conversation organically grows. The first time he did that, he got 13 clients or 13 leads, and roughly 50% of them converted within the next 3 to 6 months. And he just keeps it in the group, right? He goes to a local coffee shop, nothing fancy, not a Starbucks. I mean, you could, but he goes to these cafes that are known to the community, and then you see the regular faces as well, right? And then you kind of make yourself a common presence in that area. And you don't have to spend a lot. You spend $100 maybe for organic leads instead of Facebook. Might as well talk face to face, buy someone coffee, start their day off right or afternoon off right, right? Not really group based, but I thought it was pretty cool, anyways. So,
no, I mean, I don't hate that. I'm, not everybody in this business has, a few $100 a month to throw at that. But it's real solid strategy for sure. I mean, for me, I think of that.
Dave's frozen. I'll add something while Dave's getting his internet connection kind of figured out.
Here's now, and everyone
oh,
in my
you were frozen for a while, Dave.
Oh, sorry.
Now you're back, but you were frozen.
Oh. Okay.
So whatever you were saying started over. But in the meantime, I just want to add one more thing, which is that you can also piggyback on other events. And a lot of agents feel like they have to spend all this time, all this effort, all this money, all this energy putting on an event. Oh, I'm going to do a food drive. I'm going to do a Christmas party. I'm going to do a whatever, and you don't have to. You can piggyback on other events. Just look at, is there, I don't know, I haven't done this, but I'm just thinking out loud. Let's say you're super into music and there's a music festival. You could then, reach out to people in your sphere and invite them to go with you. Hey, I'm getting a group together to go to the music festival, or there's a wine tasting somewhere or whatever. You don't have to be the one that's curated. You can be the curator of events. You don't have to be the one that's hosting or putting on these events. So that's just a great way to have a really legit event to participate in. I was invited like 2 weeks ago to a fundraising event that I went to, and I just tagged along, and it was great. And so you can participate in different things in your community that are already happening, and then piggyback on those, and that's free. So that's kind of a nice way to participate at a deep level with people and not spend a bunch of money.
love
Right.
it.
And to Elman's point, you know, in 25 years, I've done it. I've done it all. I've bought leads. I've done set schedule. I've done Facebook advertising. And, the reality is, from a marketing standpoint, if a company had hot leads, they'd close them themselves. They just would. I mean, they wouldn't sell a hot lead for $75 or $150 to somebody else. They'd sell the $1 million house and make the 25 grand themselves. Right. So those things they're not real. And it's easy to get sucked into it and think, oh yeah, if I can just spend a couple grand here, I've had my face on the front page of several zip codes in the South Bay on Zillow. Cost me $3,500 a month. I got exactly 0 phone calls inbound. It's money into a hole. So I always just feel like, yeah, you can. I mean, and what Ellen's talking about, that's great stuff right there, right? If you're engaging people in real conversation, and it costs you $5 for a cup of coffee to engage somebody in a real conversation, that's probably a better use of your time and money for sure than it is to advertise on and on Facebook or Zillow or really any involve yourself in these lead companies, because it's just not, you'd be better off throwing darts at a wall and seeing what sticks. I've either I've done it all or I've talked to people that have done it. Nothing works better than growing your sphere with real relationships and real information, finding more people, and Klapper, when he said this a few months ago, it really stuck. You have to find more people that either know you or trust you or love you. And if you can move those people that know you into the trust you category and move the two bottom categories into love you, the more people that love you in the world, you're going to do better business wise. You just are.
I love that. I appreciate that. No, I agree with everything in terms of buying leads and stuff. It does not work. I guess what I can add in terms of the group aspect is I go to a lot of pre-construction events. And sometimes those pre-construction events, they realize those prices are crazy high, or at some points the builder is just charging so much that I actually offer them, hey, since you're an investor, why don't we look at the residential options that are already available? But in terms of group, I mean, the builder pays for everything, or the builder developer and all that stuff. They organize the events and they send out free drinks. They give out free food and everything. And what's better than not spending a nickel or a dime on food? It's all free. And so people are more happy to engage in conversations and everything. So pre-construction events is what I also go to connect with already established agents, new agents, and new base customers, like end customers, like people who are buying homes. But yeah, that's I guess my group input.
No, and I love it, and you know that, you know the business cards in the door, you know, not a bad idea. I mean, you know, I know Sean knocks on the door and hangs around until someone answers and engages, and you know, and I'm sure sometimes he gets the door slammed in his face, and sometimes he probably gets some nice conversations. And just to that, Sean, I would say just make sure the people that now know you, you try and find a way to move them into the trust category, right? And whether it be following up with an email or following up with a phone call every now and again to say, hey, just to let you know, there's a house in your neighborhood, you know, that just sold for $975,000. Isn't that something you probably never thought something would sell for $975 in your neighborhood? Like that kind of stuff is real. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Phil.
Question. I was offered an opportunity to set up a booth at a car wash in the Valley. I haven't done it yet, but the opportunity is still there for me. What would you, I mean, do you give them like market analysis? Do you give them like a pay for part of, I mean, I don't want to be paying like $20 per car wash either, right?
No.
So I'm just struggling. What can I give them, you know, as part of the, you know, like adding value?
Is it a for-profit car wash, or is it one of these things like for a like a charity?
It's actually a private car wash. They do, you know, those automated ones. And
Okay.
so you could just set up your booth here and you could do whatever you want to do. It's not a problem for me whatsoever.
Yeah, you might just I mean, just go full Charlie Brown and just put a little thing up that says, you know, real estate advice. The doctor is in. You know, um, I mean, I don't really know how you would otherwise. I mean, without having to spend a bunch of money, it might be you might be better served to, like, if there's a local school that's having a car wash for the drama department or the athletic department, you know, give them a few bucks, you know, that you can deduct out of your business and use that as an opportunity to show up on the day and glad hand some of the parents and people that are getting their car washed and say, yeah, I'm Phil, I'm the sponsor here, and I'm helping out with the community because, like Klapper said, you help out at the school, and you move yourself into that know, trust, love category with people.
For what it's worth, I would decline the car wash thing. That's what I personally would do.
Yeah, I mean, at a for-profit car wash, probably, yeah, I'm in the same boat. But again, if you run across something that's a a charity event, or a fundraising event, that's being in the being community based, which is what we're talking about here.
A lot of people are actually doing like not free pie giveaways, but like buy one pie from this place and you'll get the half one off or whatever, right? So, and you can do that with your current clients as well. but do it like seasonally, right? Thanksgiving is coming, so do something to offer stuff to the community for Thanksgiving.
For sure. I mean, every Christmas, I send out these holiday breads that my people back in Illinois, they package them and ship them, and they're I mean they're full sugar, full butter. They're and they're really nice, and they're packaged really nice, and everybody really loves them, and people remember that some about me, like, oh yeah, you're the guy that sends the breads at Christmas time. And everybody's usually pretty grateful. And I mean, I know I sent around to Klapper last year, and he was like, "Hey man, that was really good. Don't ever send them again. They were a little too heavy." But that's you can become synonymous with something like that, right? Um, and that's not a terrible thing. Like my guy here in the neighborhood, he's synonymous with the Easter egg hunt. And that when you say his name, they go, "Oh yeah, the Easter egg guy." Like that's how people know him. Do they trust him? Do they love him? But they know him, right? And they know he's a realtor, so it's probably worth whatever he's spending on it. And I guarantee you, he spends a lot more time than he does money on that thing, which is, I think, again, for until you get to a certain level in this business for the younger agents and the people that are starting out, it's not easy to just say I'm going to throw $3,000 at a Zillow ad anyway. But I'm telling you, that's good money after bad if you do it. It's much better to do things in the community where people are going to know your name, and you're going to be able to shift them up the ladder from know to trust to love, and that's how you get business. Anybody else got anything? I know with Klapper usually cuts us loose around now, or maybe a little less time than this. But if anybody, I mean, I'd love to hear ideas. If anybody's got ideas,
I'll throw something out there maybe real quick. It kind of like you're talking about with the groups, you want to hang out with the groups that you enjoy. I love to garden. I love to everyone loves a good beer. There's a brewery up the street that we've developed a really good relationship between me and my wife with. She does a lot of social media. We share a lot of their content at this point. Like when I show up, I'm one of their people, and building that relationship and something that I actually enjoy doing. It makes it easy for me to hang out at those types of places, and that's just my people already, so I feel comfortable in my space. And I think we all have a lot of those opportunities, and we don't really have to necessarily force, like you're saying, the car wash thing. That sounds like a great idea, like a great opportunity, but maybe a tough space to operate in. So I think maybe just keeping it real simple, and just hanging out with our people, and yeah, that's that's all I got.
Chris, you're reminding me of something actually, which is a lot of people in this business, they delay. You think about, gosh, when I really make it, I'm gonna have time to do all the things I really want to do. I'm gonna go spend more time with my family. I'm gonna spend more time riding my mountain bike. I'm gonna spend more time fishing. I'm gonna spend more time doing this. And they're business first. And they really go hardcore 110% into their business at the risk of really kind of pushing everything else that they really enjoy doing out of the way until they have that level of success. And the reality is, you don't have to do that. Chris, it's a great reminder for me, actually, that these are things you can start saying yes to now. The truth of the matter is, if you enjoy mountain biking or fishing or this or that or whatever you enjoy doing, do that now. Don't wait. Do it now and participate with people. You like running, get involved in a run club now. Get involved with people now and work it into your schedule. So much. I mean, a lot of agents, they get into this cycle of I'm working my ass off and then I go home and I watch Netflix. Like I'm just exhausted. It's all a scheduling issue. So weave in those things that you really enjoy doing and participate with those people that are like-minded, that are your people, as Chris says. And, you know, Dave does it in a way that works for him. Maybe I don't want to have 50 people at my house or 20 people at my house for a barbecue. He loves doing that. That's why it works for him. but I can do
And it's not
things.
like work,
Yeah, it's not like work. It's
right?
not work at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what Phil just wrote, the my broker partner on the mortgage side he's up in Sherman Oaks near you, and he has a Ferrari, and he's in a Ferrari club. And you know, there's like, he goes to these show, you know, these rallies are 60 Ferraris. That's 60 people he has in his sphere that can afford a Ferrari. You know, so when you get to that point, for sure, that that's these are great ideas, right? Um, you know, right. For me, I'm at the point where I have a little bit bigger house. I live in a neighborhood with more established people, so you know, I can run a fantasy football league with 11 other guys that are property owners in my neighborhood. I mean, there isn't one renter in the group, and I started the group, so I handpicked the 11 people because they're connectors, because they're, you know, there's a builder in the group. Other guy works for the Rams. Another guy works for NFL Network. Another guy's family owns, I mean, he manages 60 properties that his family owns. I mean, like, you know, you're not doing the wrong thing to surround yourself by people that can help your business. And in Chris's situation, right? He probably enjoys going down there and having a beer every now and again. It's not like work, but while he's there, he could maybe forge a new relationship or three every week. Not a terrible way to spend your time outside of work. Right. All right, Klapper, that's all I got. So, I mean, if anybody, but if anybody, you know, has any questions, I mean, you can find me now I'm connected to Klapper on Instagram, and you know, there's you know, if this kind of stuff, I really think though many agents miss out on a lot of opportunities, and I have too. Like as you know, Klapper said, there's been times where I've said, you know, man, I don't want to go to you know, a high school football game on Friday night, or I don't want to go watch this band or that band, and then you know, you wake up the next day and you think, well, I just sat around watching garbage on Netflix, and I may have missed an opportunity to either, you know, A, see, you know, a good band, or B, you know, make a new relationship, meet a new person for the sphere, you know.
I don't know that I've ever really said yes to something and felt that it was a total waste of time. I always learn something, meet someone, have a new experience. So that's what life is about. So, by the way, guys, for those of you that don't know, Dave Buss is a mortgage guy. He's a, you know, lender and a broker, right, Dave?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, I do both. Not on the same transaction, because EXP doesn't like that. But you know, I'm an agent, but I've been primarily a mortgage broker for 25 years. So if you have questions about, you know, like the agent that called me yesterday with the questions about the reverse mortgage for the client in Westwood, that agent's name is Aaron Klapper. And you know, I'm always happy to be a resource. And the idea here is that I make you look as intelligent as possible to your clients, because the more you know about the lending process, the more of, again, a resource you're going to be able to be to them. So
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate you stepping in today and sharing all that you shared and
no
throwing on
problem.
some great conversation. Guys,
Happy to
have an
do it.
awesome week. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Go crush it out there. Have some fun. Take care,
All right.
guys.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Dave.